Unit 17, Lesson 33. Exercise. You will hear a lecture about international study in the UK.
We are here today to learn about studying in the UK. Firstly, I'd like to talk to you about the visa application process, because I know it can seem very confusing to the first-time traveller. You need a confirmed offer from a university in the UK before you can get a visa. Then you need to complete the application form. You need to give a copy of your passport number and ID card and 4 passport-size photographs, and there is a visa processing fee of 1,000 RMB. You will almost certainly need to attend an interview and provide a reference letter from your teacher. You can either fill in an online application form or send for one by post. Before you can come to study in the UK, you must prove that you have adequate funds to do so. You must provide copies of the last 6 months of your bank statements, and you should have minimum funds of $10,000. Most international students choose science and business majors. Which is right for you? Well, there are several factors to consider. For example, how much the tuition fees are. Generally, tuition fees for science courses are significantly higher than those for business courses. In fact, more than double. Other factors include length of course, whether to choose campus or non-campus colleges, and which universities provide career guidance for when you graduate. Detailed information on each university is available online for each individual institution.
Unit 17, Lesson 34. Exercise.
You will hear an introduction about features of undergraduate study in the UK. If you want to take an undergraduate course of study, you require a letter of recommendation from your principal and copies of your school records and exam results. You must, of course, demonstrate ability to communicate effectively in English. Different majors require different abilities in English. Undergraduate courses in science often require you to do a foundation year before you start the course, so that you achieve the requisite knowledge before you begin the courses. Degrees generally last 3 years, though the first year doesn't count towards your final marks. Application is always via UCAS, an organisation that handles all undergraduate students. Postgraduate application is via direct application to universities. They will require a minimum pass in your degree, certainly above average, and as with undergraduate courses, require a minimum level in your English ability. Most master's courses take 1 year, but some take 2, so be sure to take this into account when choosing. There are 2 systems of ranking, for universities' overall achievement and for each of their separate departments. Other kinds of information are available, like graduate employment statistics. Generally, British universities are generally respected globally, and there is an international ranking system that lists all the top universities in the world for you to check where your university places.
Unit 18, Lesson 35. Exercise. You will hear a Cambridge University's enrolment advertisement. Cambridge University seeks to attract the very highest caliber of students, and for this reason, there is a minimum requirement of 3.7 GPA for prospective students. For those who do meet this prerequisite for admission, the courses at our university are second to none. The system of application to both Cambridge and Oxford, or Oxbridge as they are collectively known, differs greatly to that applicable to other British universities. There are two separate but equally important forms to fill out. The first is for UCAS, the University and Colleges Admission Service. This is essential for any student wanting to join an undergraduate course in Britain. The second is the university's own application form. You may or may not choose to state a preference as to which college you should like to enroll in, but bear in mind that some colleges are particularly oversubscribed. Unlike most other countries, British undergraduate degrees are highly specialised and are consequently of a shorter length than is common elsewhere. The degree programmes at Cambridge are deservedly world-renowned. We look for students who not only have a high level of ability in their chosen field of study, but also have skills in a wide range of interests. We particularly welcome students with musical talent, and we offer many scholarships and bursaries to such candidates. Overall, a student who has experience in a wide range of extracurricular activities will be preferred over one who hasn't. Unit 18, Lesson 36. Exercise.
You'll hear an introduction of postgraduate study in Cambridge University.
Prospective postgraduate students applying to British universities in general follow a very different system to that for undergraduate students. Application is always direct to the university of choice. For that reason, it involves a far greater amount of effort on behalf of the student. Candidates must hold the equivalent of at least an upper second undergraduate degree directly related to the postgraduate program they wish to follow. International equivalents are hard to quantify and are judged on a case-by-case basis. For guidance purposes only, an upper second is an above-average score. Our most popular postgraduate degrees are in science and English literature. A much higher level of English language ability is required for arts courses than for sciences, but both require a higher level than for undergraduate courses. Applicants for music must have proven professional experience at a national level in order to be considered. Some majors require no previous related study. The MBA program is of course the prime example. This course is extremely popular, and you can assume that you will not gain admittance unless you have an extremely good undergraduate degree. Law candidates must pass an additional exam. Some master's courses are taught, some are research-based. Science masters require the student to make detailed analyses of observed phenomena and initiate the student into how to record the information in a concise and academic manner. The Faculty of Languages and Literature requires 2 references from senior academics. Many of our graduates go on to become university professors at home and abroad. Unit 19, Lesson 37. Exercise. Kate and Leo do a research, which is about how watching TV affects children's reading and writing abilities. The purpose of our research was to determine the effect of TV on children's reading and writing in the south of England.
Yes, So what conclusions do you think we can draw?
Well, it seems quite clear after interviewing 500 children and their parents that there is a direct link between the amount of TV and the literacy level of children.
But how do we know that that is because of the impact of watching TV? It could be due to any number of factors.
What other factors do you think there might be?
For example, the financial background and educational ability of the parents. Is there a link between the literacy level of the parents and the amount of TV children watch, do you think?
I think so, but that is why I deliberately chose children from a very similar financial and social background. They all have stable two-parent families with annual incomes in the range of $25,000 to $35,000. All of the mothers are housewives, and all the parents are university graduates.
That's good. That shows we have eliminated other potential factors.
The results show that for children who watch 2 hours of TV per day, there is a decline in reading ability of between 10 and 20%, and for children who watch 4 hours per day, there is a decline of 35%. Unit 19. Lesson 38. Exercise.
You'll hear Kate and Leo discuss about solutions. What solutions do you recommend to solve the problem?
Of course, we should recommend that parents restrict the amount of time that their children spend on watching TV.
Do you mean stop them from watching TV altogether?
No, I mean only allowing them to watch programs with good educational content, and then perhaps letting them watch a little of what they want when they have done well at school.
OK, but what about the carrot and stick approach? You can stop them from watching TV, but what about actually getting them to read more?
You're right. Parents should set aside time every day as reading time. Let the children choose a book so that they are active in the learning process, and then they can read it together. It should be a regular thing, and it is also a chance for the parents and child to be together.
How much time should they devote to this activity?
I don't think the amount of time is critical. It is more important that it is a daily activity. Maybe they could spend 15 or 30 minutes per day doing this.
What about improving writing? I think that's a more difficult problem.
Yes, maybe the parents could allow their children to watch a cartoon, but then after they must write a paragraph saying what it was about. It doesn't have to be much, as quality is much more important than quantity.
Yes, we must also stress that parents should be more active in their children's lives. Parents should know that they need to play an active role in their children's education.
Unit 20. Lesson 39. Exercise. You'll hear a telephone inquiry between two students about MBA online education.
Hi. So, you found a good MBA program yet then?
Yes, and I have already registered to do the courses as well.
Oh really? Which university is it at?
Actually, it's a very different MBA course. It's offered online by Harvard University.
Wow, that is different. Do you mean you study on the internet at home? Is it a lot cheaper than a usual MBA?
A lot. It's about 50% cheaper. Altogether, about $10,000.
Is it still internationally recognized?
They say so.
What's the curriculum?
There are courses in business and economic theory, venture capitalism, getting startup funds for a new company, and lots of others.
I'm particularly interested in project management. Do they offer any course units in that?
Yes, There are course units that everyone has to take, and then there are lots of elective courses that you can choose according to your own interest.
How long is the course?
It's 1 year.
Is that one academic year?
If you mean September to June, then no, it's actually 1 calendar year. The course begins in January and ends in December, a full 12 months.
Are there any other fees I need to know about?
Yes, there's an application fee of $100, and there's a deposit of 20% you must pay if you accept an offer of a place. That's $2,000, and it's non-refundable.
Are there any requirements for prospective students?
Yes, quite a few. You need to have a really good undergraduate degree, and you must have some work experience, preferably full-time. Usually they don't accept students who have worked for less than 2 years before applying.
It sounds difficult, but I'll have a try.
Unit 20. Lesson 40. Exercise.
You'll hear the instructions of software or hardware requirements for online study, advantages and disadvantages of online education. Online study is suitable for those who are working full-time and don't want to quit their jobs to study full-time, or who are unable to travel to the university for one reason or another, or those who live in a foreign country. It is not intended to replace a regular university course or be a cheaper option for those who can't afford the normal route. There are certain advantages to online study. There is a greater degree of flexibility for those who have commitments during the day and so need to be able to schedule their classes and study around their work or family life. It is also very good for older students who perhaps would feel intimidated than their much younger classmates at university. The main disadvantage is that it requires a greater degree of discipline. The student must commit to regular study that they are personally responsible for maintaining. There is no teacher to force you to work. For that reason, many students on online courses fall behind with their study. The other big disadvantage is the lack of personal contact with the professor. There are opportunities to discuss your progress with a professor, but of course the time is much more limited. Students receive a normal MBA certificate. It is in no way inferior to the standard MBA offered by the university to its regular full-time students who attend classes at college. Students require a computer with at least 64 gigabytes of memory and a broadband internet access to handle large file transfers. The computer must have a CD-ROM and must be able to use Microsoft Windows programs. Software minimum requirements are a good spreadsheet program and a PowerPoint program.
Unit 21. Lesson 41. Exercise. Nicole Kidman talks with her friend that she has been tired of New York's noises and wanted to go back to Australia. But she read a report about Australian environment and found there were 5 environmental problems which have had an influence upon Australians' life. I'm thinking of going back to Australia, but I can't make up my mind.
What's stopping you?
There are so many environmental problems in Australia. I read this newspaper article about it.
Do you mean like pollution?
No, mainly to do with overexploitation of the land. But there are some problems that aren't Australia's fault.
Like what?
Well, do you know about the hole in the ozone layer?
I've heard about it.
Well, it's a big problem in Australia. A lot of people get skin cancer because there is no protection from the sun's rays.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, but not only that. Australia suffers from really big bushfires.
What are those?
Well, when it is really hot, the dry grass sometimes catches fire, and lots of people's houses are burned, and people are even killed. They are becoming more and more frequent. In addition to that, there are too many farm animals in Australia. They are eating all the vegetation and turning the country into a big desert.
Oh, right. So that causes soil erosion when the rain comes.
Yes. Also, in parts of the country, there is a lot of heavy industry, mainly mining. That can cause a lot of terrible pollution, especially of the water. The water from the rivers is undrinkable.
Oh, that's too bad. The government should do something.
It's not all the government's fault. Another natural problem is the increasing number of cyclones, which are caused by global warming. Most Australians live near the sea, so you can imagine cyclones cause a lot of troubles. Unit 21. Lesson 42. Exercise.
Nichols' friend's major is environmental study, and he explains about cause of environmental problems and possible solutions.
I wonder if it is possible to solve these problems.
Well, my major is environmental science. This is exactly the kind of thing I study.
What do you suggest the Australians should do?
Firstly, the issue of the hole in the ozone layer. The government should ban the use of machines that produce carbon monoxide. It's old cars and old machines that are mainly responsible for that problem.
I didn't know that.
On the matter of water pollution caused by the mining industry, you can't stop mining, but you can force mining companies to be responsible for cleaning any water that they use and make them responsible for safely storing any waste products.
What about the number of cows and sheep who are destroying the grasslands?
I think the government should offer farmers money to move to a different form of farming, growing crops that don't need much water, or farming animals that are native to Australia, like kangaroos. Lots of people like to eat kangaroo meat, you know.
I know. I like it a lot myself.
The cyclone problem is a difficult one to solve because the problem is not Australia's. Rather, it is a global problem. I think Australia should talk to other countries about this problem and encourage all of them to treat the environment with more respect.
What about the problem of fires?
Bushfires are actually natural. They encourage new plants to grow. The problem is we don't let them burn naturally, so we sometimes have these really big fires that destroy everything. We should allow small regular bushfires, and we shouldn't let people build houses too close to areas that often have these fires.
Unit 22. Lesson 43. Exercise. You will hear a lecture on dreams. Complete the questions below. Good morning, everyone. In today's class, we'll hear James Witherspoon explaining for us the current status of his field research.
Thank you. I think I should take a moment to explain the unique character of this project. You see, I think that we don't concentrate enough in field research on what's going on in people's minds when they are alone at night. All of us dream many times every night, and yet we rarely remember them. When we do, however, They are often among the most vivid dreams. I recently had one that strongly resembled an event that happened only a few days later. That evening, in fact, I was speaking to a young relative of mine who told me that he had the same thing happen to him, and this was before I had mentioned my own dream to him. This got me wondering about dreams in general.
Unit 22. Lesson 44. Exercise.
The lecture continues. Complete questions below. Our primary method of research has been conducting short interviews with a large number of people. We decided that, unlike almost every other study-based research project we heard about, this one would make no categorical distinction between men and women. The two main groups, rather, would be adults and children. The idea for this obviously coming from the fact that my 10-year-old cousin and I had nearly identical experiences. It should come as no surprise that, since they were generally more reserved about their inner feelings than children, adults were much more unwilling than children to be interviewed by us. Surprisingly, though, many of these adults were quite willing to give us permission to interview their own children, who were generally much more enthusiastic about the chance to talk about their dreams. Because of their helpfulness, we've already had 264 children's subjects alone, and well over 350 total respondents.
Unit 23. Lesson 45. Exercise. You are going to hear a conversation between two people in the marketing department.
We need to find new customers for our studying abroad consulting company. Do you have any ideas?
We could advertise.
Which are the most suitable media to advertise our company?
Newspapers are the cheapest.
Yes, but most young people don't really read them, and they are our customers.
No, but their parents do.
Magazines are the same, I guess.
Actually, they're a lot more expensive than newspapers, but still much cheaper than radio and TV.
What's the advantage of a magazine then?
They usually have a very specialist target audience, so we can choose a magazine that is aimed at students or aimed at language learners. Also, we can have a colourful and very attractive advertisement in a magazine.
What other media are there?
Radio is good. It is cheaper than television, but you can still make it interesting by adding music. Again, you can use a specialist radio station, one that young students listen to.
Yes, but when you hear information but don't see it, it is more difficult to remember. For example, telephone numbers and contact names.
That's why you need a good jingle, a short and memorable song, to help people remember the important information.
What about TV?
Of course it's the most expensive, but that's because it's the best. Everyone watches TV, so you can advertise to a lot of people at the same time. People also trust companies that advertise on TV, because they think it must be a good company if it can afford the cost of doing so. Unit 23. Lesson 46. Exercise.
A marketing team of Studying Abroad Consulting Company discuss how to choose media for advertisement. All things considered, I think radio and TV are most suitable for our campaign. Do you agree?
Yes, they are the most memorable and they reach the greatest number of people.
Magazines are good, but I think you have to advertise for a longer time to reach enough people, and often there are many advertisements that are very similar in the same magazine.
Whilst newspapers are good, people don't really read the advertisements in a newspaper unless they are looking for something specific.
I guess the biggest advantage of radio and TV advertisements is that you can't avoid them. If you don't want to read an advertisement in a newspaper, then you can just turn the page. But on TV, most people just sit and watch them.
I think radio advertisements are often quite popular as well. I know I sometimes sing little song advertisements that I have heard on the radio. It's a good way to achieve a strong brand and makes people remember the name of your company. That's especially important when there's a lot of competition and many companies offering the same service as you.
Good point. Many TV advertisements are very entertaining as well. I guess it's definitely worth spending the extra money on radio and TV.
Unit 24. Lesson 47. Exercise. Safe Insurance Company promotes an insurance to university students in the UK.
You can never think too much about personal safety, and we, at the Safe Insurance Company, dedicate ourselves to helping other people prepare for any financial problems that might happen to any one of us in the future. Although most of you still technically live at home with your parents, it is still a good idea to insure yourselves. You can buy different kinds of insurance. Home contents insurance for the things in your home, life insurance for if you are killed, car insurance and health insurance for if you are sick. Most students are only interested in home contents insurance. I am sure many of you have expensive computers and cameras that you want to protect. Our insurance policies can give you peace of mind. You can insure for a minimum of £5,000. That costs £10 per month. Or you can insure for a maximum of £10,000, which costs just £15 per month. If something is stolen, you can give us a call 24 hours a day, and we will help you make a claim. Remember though, you need a police insurance number first to make a claim, so you must also notify the police of something having been stolen. This is to stop people making false claims. Also, we don't insure for flood damage, so if your things are destroyed by water, then unfortunately we can give you nothing. You are obliged to make sure your house is safe and locked, or we might not give you all your money. We also have a special insurance for student car drivers. If you don't make an insurance claim for 12 months, we give you a no claims bonus. This means that your insurance for the following year is reduced by 50%. That can save you a lot of money. If you need to make a claim at any time, we promise to pay you the money within 72 hours.
Unit 24. Lesson 48. Exercise.
You'll hear members of a campus radio station are holding a meeting to discuss fundraising to support a contest selecting the most charming voice and what kinds of companies will be interested in supporting them so as to plan further actions for promotion. The most important thing is to find a sponsor for our most charming voice contest.
I think we should ask companies with an interest in the topic.
What kind of companies might those be?
Mainly media companies, I guess, like television and radio stations.
Okay, so we need to make a list of all the radio and television companies, send them a letter, and hope we get something from them. Maybe they could show the contest on their station.
It would be great if they could.
We need to think of other ways of fundraising.
We could make contestants pay a small fee.
We don't want to deter people from joining the contest.
I know, just a small fee, maybe $1.
That seems reasonable. If we have a lot of contestants, that will actually raise a lot of the money we need.
How about we raise money by getting listeners to our campus radio to send text messages voting for their favourite voice? We can charge 10 cents for each vote.
I think that's a great idea.
Maybe the student union will provide some funds for us. We should ask them for help.
Yes, we should definitely do that. It's their job to look after our welfare and support everything we students do.
What else can we do?
Well, most importantly, we should try to do everything on as small a budget as possible.
Unit 25. Lesson 49. Exercise. You'll hear the introduction about a little dolphin, Pino, arrived in the marine park. There once was a lovable little dolphin called Pino. He used to live in the big open sea where he was born. But one day, when he was 7 years old, he was caught and sent to live in a marine park. He was such a clever little thing. He learnt new tricks much faster than the other animals, and many people, young and old, came from miles around to see him perform. He could shoot up into the air, jump through hoops, dance on the surface of the water, play with a ball, shake hands with people, and many other things besides. In time, people came to the marine park just to see him. He became a big star, and every day coachloads of tourists arrived with one thing in their mind: to see Pino for themselves. He was especially good with children. He even let them swim in the water with him and hold on to his fin while he swam around. He was so patient and gentle that parents were perfectly at ease seeing their children splashing around with him. Pino had a trademark, a thing he always did at the end of every performance. When he had finished amazing people with his tricks, he would incline his body and wave his right fin as if to say goodbye to all the people. Everyone remarked how human-like he was. It was as though he got genuine satisfaction from his job. Unit 25. Lesson 50. Exercise. 1 month later, Pino was ill. People in the marine park want to find out the cause. But one day, after only 1 month had passed, Pino suddenly became very ill. The marine park veterinarians tried everything they could, but they couldn't work out what was wrong. They changed his diet. They changed the water in his pool. They gave him every kind of medicine, but nothing worked. Soon Pino became much, much worse, and eventually he stopped eating altogether. They decided he needed to go to hospital. At the hospital, they did numerous tests to determine the cause of his illness. One of the tests was an X-ray. The X-ray showed an object in Pino's stomach, and they wondered if this was the root of the problem. They decided to perform an operation straight away. When they cut his stomach open, they found inside a piece of jagged metal which had caused a festering wound inside him. No wonder he had been so ill. Poor Pino! They removed the metal and then waited and prayed that he would recover. Pino did wake up, but the operation had come too late. He opened his eyes, inclined his body, and waved his right fin, giving them his very last goodbye. He closed his eyes again, and an hour later he passed away. all the people who had worked with him cried so much their eyes became red and sore, and all those who had come to see him perform at the zoo were very sad to hear the news. No one felt like celebrating anything for a long time after, or watching the performances of the other animals. In his honour, they decided to place a statue of Pino at the Marine Park in his most famous pose, inclining his body and waving his fin. Unit 26. Lesson 51. Exercise.
You will hear a conversation between a lawyer and a customer who is going to immigrate to Canada. Complete questions below. I need some information about emigrating to Canada.
Okay, well, I can help you fill in the application form. There are various schemes that enable suitably qualified candidates to enter Canada. They have a test to see if you qualify.
What score do I need on the test?
You need 67 to pass the test. The different elements that award points include language ability, in both French and English, work experience, and qualifications.
And do I need to have money to qualify?
Yes, you must have enough money to support yourself and your family for 6 months after arrival in Canada.
How much work experience do I need?
At least 1 year's full-time work experience in the category of skill type O or skill level A or B.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, actually, there are hundreds of skilled jobs that fall within that category. For example, managers, doctors and teachers, but also ordinary jobs like builders and secretaries. It is a very wide list of occupations. The longer the time that you have worked, the more points you are awarded towards the total.
What are the minimum language requirements?
Well, you can get a maximum of 24 points in total for language skills in both English and French. The higher the level, the more points you can get, and there are points separately awarded for speaking and written language skills.
Is there a minimum age to emigrate to Canada?
Well, the fact that you need work experience is an indicator that it is for adults only, but children can go with their parents if their parents qualify to emigrate.
What about educational requirements?
Again, the more you have, the more points you get. So if you have postgraduate level of education, you can get 25 points. But if you only completed high school, you will only get 5 points.
So, to have the best chance, you should speak good English, be well educated, and have lots of work experience.
Unit 26. Lesson 52. Exercise. The conversation continues. Complete questions below. Based on your own situation, I think you are just short of qualifying.
Oh, what do you suggest I do to improve my chances?
Well, you definitely need more work experience. You have only worked for 9 months, so you need to work for at least 3 more months before you qualify to even apply.
Okay, that's easy. What else?
Well, you speak some English. There are a lot of points awarded for language proficiency, and that is a really easy way to get a lot of extra points. I suggest you have an intensive language course so that you can get as many points as possible in the language category. You can get a maximum of 16 points for speaking one of the languages and 24 if you speak English and French fluently. I think right now you would get around 8 in total. Maybe you could start learning French as well. That would be very helpful.
Okay, that sounds like a lot of work, but I'll see what I can do. I am really determined to emigrate.
You also need a great reference. Do you have someone who can provide a reference for you?
Yes, my boss said he would write a wonderful reference for me.
Good. We also need to discuss payment of my fees.
How much are they?
Well, when you sign the contract that says you agree for me to help you, you must pay 50% of the total amount. That's 10,000 renminbi. You pay the other half when you receive your invitation for an interview from the Canadian Immigration Office. Then I'll help you prepare what to say at the interview.
Okay, let's do it.